Hi, I'm here on the island. It's very late in the day, and the pond is very quiet right now. No one's out, so this is kind of spooky to be here talking. Um, but I wanted to tell these two stories from here. One of them I'm not quite sure of the location of where it happened, but the first one I'm going to tell you happened probably straight ahead. But this first one took place about midway between the island and Hospital Point. So when I was a kid, we would always say, did anyone die tragically in the pond? Is there any ghosts haunting? And people would say, nope, I haven't heard of any children dying in the pond. And I've known people who, will be sitting out in their yard on a nice summer night and will see shadows of children. They'll think they're children standing in the shadows, and they'll say, "Come out here. Who are you?" And there's no one there. It's just a child-sized shadowy figures. So we're always like, "Who are these children?" Well, there actually were some children who unfortunately drowned very tragically right here. So this first story took place on August 30th of 1856, and this is very sad. So this is the story I'm going to read to you from the Old Colony Memorial, and it says, "It is our melancholy duty to make a record of a sad incident which occurred yesterday on Billington Sea. Dr. Irving Webster of this town, in company with his father, brother, son, a boy of 4 years of age, had gone to the pond for the purpose of enjoying a sail. It was a windy day, and the place is notorious for treacherous squalls which sweep across it," which is exactly true to this day in this area right here. It can get very windy. One of the first times I ever went canoeing by myself, I actually got stuck on this island because I couldn't make it across here because of the wind, and there were some people in a boat on the other shore, and they were stuck for the same, like an hour. I think we were both stuck. I was stuck on the island, they were stuck on the other shore because the wind was so bad. But anyways, that's still true to this day, that there's notorious squalls right there. So where was I? So in coming around the island, so I'm guessing they came around from that way, but it is possible they came around from that way. When opposite Hathaway's Point, which is Hospital Point, a sudden flaw upset the small boat they were in and left them clinging to its bottom, which they had all succeeded in reaching. They were slowly drifting with the wind towards the shore when the little boy lost his hold. Dr. Webster succeeded in reaching his child and then attempted to swim with it towards the land. In this attempt he failed, and both father and child were drowned. Dr. W's father and brother worked the boat towards the shore and were finally rescued by some of our citizens, who were on the spot as soon as the alarm was given as possible. The body of the child was found floating near the shore. That of the father was recovered an hour or two after by dragging on the bottom, near the spot where he was seen to go down. Every effort was made which skill could devise to bring back the fleeting life, but it had gone to that bourne whence no traveler returns." And the father was only 27 years old and a physician, and his name was Irvin Webster, and the boy was Olin Webster, and in some cases he's written as being 3 years old, and in other cases he's written as being 4 years old. And I wish they had said more about the little boy in the article, because I find that very sad. You can imagine how horrible that must have been for everyone. It's just terrible. It's very hard to swim with a child. Holding on to a child, they wouldn't have had life jackets on. The child probably couldn't have swam very well. And that's pretty deep right out there. at that point and far from land. That would be the absolute worst place to fall off a boat. Trying to swim with your child, it's terrible. And actually that spot right there has always, I've never liked going over that area, even when it's calm like it is right now. I try and go along the side. Usually I don't like the feeling of it right there. So I usually along the shore of the island or along the shore on one of the sides. I don't like it right up there. I'm sitting on this root. It's not really that comfortable. So the next story I have is even more, well, I don't know if you would say even more tragic, but it's more incredible, and I can't believe it seems like it's almost forgotten because I've never heard anyone speak of this story, and it's just the craziest story. You'd think it would be in town history or something, just how tragic it is. So this one took place, well, I can't really find the exact date for this one. I've just found different dates, but this is from the Old Colony Memorial from Saturday morning, January 19th, 1850. And I don't know the location of where this would be. If I had to guess, maybe over like in the boat launch area, Morton Park, or maybe like that way from the island. I don't know where people came from town in the 1850s, so I'm guessing probably over there, because I know there was a big dock or wharf or something over in the Morton Park area. Although that wasn't Morton Park yet at this point in 1850. It wasn't Morton Park until 1889. There was stuff in the next coves, but none of these houses. This was all woods. I think there might have been some little cottages maybe down in that direction, but there's nothing around. So if you came out here ice skating or fishing, ice fishing, you would have pretty much probably been fairly much on your own, I would guess. I mean, I don't really know for sure. That's just what I gather from what I've read. Maybe there would have been people, but I mean, if you can imagine, you would have had to have walked out here from town, which would have taken you a while, and if you needed help, it's the winter. To get help, it would have taken quite a while to come from town. So this article starts, distressing calamity. On Saturday last, the 12th, okay, so I guess if the paper says the 12th, we'll go with the 12th. I'd seen something that said the 9th. On Saturday last, the 12th, a most painful event occurred in this town, by which 4 lives were sacrificed. 3 lads, Barnabas Churchill Jr., Franklin Leach, and Charles Bates, had gone to Billington Sea to spend the afternoon in fishing and skating. Young Churchill, while skating, broke through the ice and was precipitated into the water. His young companions, rushing to his assistance, also fell in it, and their united cries for help brought Mr. Asa Cook to their aid. The ice proving insufficient to bear the weight of Mr. Cook, he also fell through. But while in the water, by the most strenuous exertions, he succeeded in rescuing Leach from his critical position, and by main force threw him onto the surface of the ice. Leach was much exhausted and hardly able to walk, but finally reached the shore and gave the alarm. Mr. George Raymond, Jr., who chanced to be near at this time, hastened to the relief of Mr. Cook and the lads, and in the endeavor to save them, plunged beneath the treacherous ice and soon sank with the others. They all perished together before further assistance could reach them. Proper means were used for the recovery of the bodies, and they were all brought to town on Saturday evening. By this fearful calamity, our community has been shrouded in gloom during the past week, and the circumstances attending it have not only produced a general shock to the feelings of our citizens, but have also awakened an extensive sympathy for the bereaved families connected with the deceased. The lads who met in this sudden manner their early fate were both much beloved in their circle of friends and gave promise of a future usefulness. Young Bates, we are informed, stood at the head of the high school and bore the reputation of an excellent scholar. Mr. Cook had been a resident among us but a short time. He was 28 years of age and much esteemed in the community. He leaves a family to bewail his loss. Mr. Raymond was 45 years old, a native townsman, and also leaves a family. He was a printer by profession and was well known as such in Boston and New York. He has often assisted in this office, and his removal has elicited not only much grief, but a general expression of respect for his character and worth. And there's another article, another paragraph to this article, which wasn't included where I found this one, so I don't know how it ends. Right, so this was from the town records. 4 persons drowned in Billington Sea. 2 men, Charles Raymond. This was throwing me off. I just figured this out. It says Charles Raymond June, Jun. So I thought that was his last name, but I think that's Junior. And Mr. Cook, 2 boys, Barnabas Churchill June, which is Junior. See, I thought Charles Raymond and Barnabas Churchill were related, but that's just how they abbreviated Junior back then, maybe. Age 16, Charles Bates, age 15. In attempting to save young Churchill, they all broke through the ice, one after another, and were all drowned, but one Frank Leach. And that, from the town records, is dated January 5th, so I don't know, different dates. But that's just crazy. And can you imagine being Frank Leach? I mean, everyone just fell through the ice and drowned, even the person that came to help you. And he was in the freezing cold water out here, so far from town. I don't know, maybe they took a carriage or something out here. I don't know how they got out here. Did they walk out here? Did they take a carriage? Did he have to walk back to town to get help, or walk to the nearest house, soaking wet from being in the water? That must have been so traumatic for him. It's just the craziest, worst story, so I'm surprised it's not more well known. It should be remembered. These people should be remembered. The same with the father and son. You never hear people talk about them. I mean, I know it was so long ago, but such tragic stories. We should remember them. Do these people haunt the lands around the pond, or the pond itself? I don't know. Like I said, I've known people that have seen shadowy figures of children. Is it any of these children? I don't know. But something to think about. Hey, so something I forgot to mention when I was over on the island telling you the stories of the tragic drownings, was when I was doing the research and reading the account of the teenage boys who fell through the ice. I was actually at work at the time, and we had on this radio station which always plays basically the same, songs, cycles through them. Every few days they'll change, but it's basically always the same few songs. But as I was reading this account of this story, this song that I've never heard came on, and since this time I haven't heard it again. But right when it got to the part in the article where it was describing how they all fell through the ice, one after another, the lyrics of this song said, "We have fallen through the ice." So that was actually pretty spooky. The song is by the Verve Pipe, and I think it's called Freshman, but I might be wrong. I'd never heard of it. I've heard of that band. I like some of their songs, but I've never heard that one particular song before, and that radio station has not played it again since. So that was pretty weird. And then I also forgot to mention that Olin, the little 4-year-old boy, his gravestone was supposed to say, "Drowned with his dad in Billington Sea," which is how I found the whole story to begin with. because I was doing a search, and then that gravestone inscription came up. But I went to Burial Hill today to kind of pay my respects to them, because I located their graves. And I didn't see where that was written on the stone. It was pretty faded, but I didn't see that written on the stone at all. Just maybe I wasn't seeing it because it was faded, but I didn't see that. And it was kind of sad. The father's gravestone was cracked at the top and had broken some time ago because it's fallen over onto the back side, and the ground is kind of like grown up or pushed up over it. You can tell it's been sitting there for quite a while in that condition. So I really hope someone fixes that grave, and I think I'm gonna remember to visit them sometimes, and maybe I'll bring them flowers or something the next time I go. But I'll make sure that I visit them from time to time, because someone should remember them. So that's that for those stories. And I'll show you just a little clip of their gravestones when I went to pay my respects to them next. So thank you for watching. Part 2 is going to have the story of Hospital Point, which, as far as I know, isn't haunted, but it's kind of a spooky location once you know its history. If you know any ghost stories pertaining to it, though, please feel free to tell me, because I can imagine it would be a very haunted place. It does have a very spooky feeling if you go there after hours, and it's kind of creepy over there. All right, thank you for watching.